Guys, I'm Jim and this is Jim's Fix-It Shop, and we're back and running, and I am gonna, popular demand, I am gonna continue making videos until until I stop getting questions. If you do have any questions, I encourage you to put them in the description box below, because if you put them in the description box below, a lot of other people can also give you answers along with mine, and other people that watch the videos that may have the same question can look down in there and they can get an answer without ever contacting me. Not that I care, don't take that wrong, but if you send me an email and you ask me a question on your disk drive, and I give you an answer on it, when I ship that answer to you, I delete your original question. My phone can't hold that many emails. But if you put it in the box below, it stays on there forever. I don't have to store it, they do. So if you have a second question you want to ask me, you have to remind me what your original question was, because I've deleted it. Sometimes when you send me a second email, it will bring up all the other emails and all my answers. Sometimes it does not. And I'm pretty much lost at what your original question was, because I'm pushing 30 a day. I can't remember all these questions. And it doesn't take much, just a couple of comments on what your question was, and I usually pick it up and I can run with it. But if you can, put your questions in the comment box below, and it will help a lot of people instead of just one person. So on these mower decks, I've had quite a few people get a hold of me and say, when I turn my blade on, it hits on one side and it's way down below on the other. Something's bent or something's wrong in here. Well, I had one of the viewers got a hold of me and said his blade is in here, it's rubbing on one side. And I said, well, there's two bolts on the bottom side of your blade holder, I think that's what the book calls it, that you screw in and it levels your blade out. Well, I have to make a retraction on that, because this is a 28-inch of my boss's. And I don't know if it's because it's a newer machine, or the book says because it's a 28-inch machine. It has no screws to level the blade out. This bar is off a 30-inch machine. Now these are the two holes that your blade mounts on. These two bolts under here is what I was telling my viewer is what you screw in that levels the blade out. His may not have these, so sorry about that. If you got a blade mount that looks like this, it's shorter and it's cut off just past the holes. This part isn't on here. You're going to have to try and figure out what's bent or what's misaligned to get that blade in there right. There's a couple of ways you can check this thing. If I can get this blade out of here. Get yourself a straight edge. Let me grab mine. Okay, you want to get yourself a straight edge. Lay it on the mower deck. Get a scale. We call these scales at work, you'd probably call it a ruler. And check from the top of the mounting bar to the bottom of your straight edge. I have 1 inch. Now, no matter where I go around here, I have an inch. And I have an inch on both sides. That'll tell you if it's bent or not. If you've taken your deck apart to clean it and paint it, you may have got the spindle in there a little bit off center somehow. Here's a spindle. Take this top nut off. You can see the two different threads on here. This larger thread on the bottom is where your blade mount screws onto. Smaller thread on the top is for the nut that holds it on. If that is bent, if the spindle shaft got bent somehow, and you put your blade on here, tell you, these are hard to get on, and you spin this thing, there's a couple things you want to watch for. Now, I made up a couple, I don't even know what you want to call these, to show you the difference on what this is going to look like when you spin it. That's going to tell you what's wrong with it. If you spin this one, you can see it that it's spinning straight. Even if the spindle and the spindle shaft or the spindle cartridge is in there crooked, it's still going to spin true. Now this one, I don't know if you can see how that's wobbling back and forth as it goes around. That's going to tell you if your blade is doing that when you spin it, or the blade holder, if you can't spin it because the blade's on there, you can take the blade off. I tell you, them are a tight fit. Just spin this part of it and see what that's doing. If it's wobbling, you know that either this is bent or your spindle got bent. If you spin this and it's spinning true and it's not wobbling, then something in your spindle housing is mounted crooked somehow. Another way to check it is with that straight edge and measure on both sides. You should get the same measurement. Turn it this way, measure on both sides. If you're getting an inch like I've got, everything should be running good. Your deck itself could be bent. I told this viewer that I had a guy call me. He says, Jim, I bought this beautiful snapper off of, I think he said Craigslist. I went and looked at it. Nice shape. It's kind of like this one I'm tearing apart. Runs good. I drove it around the yard. I bought it, brought it home. It didn't cut. He says, I turned the mower deck on at his house, but it doesn't cut the grass good. So he says, I stood it up and looked at it. It's a 30, it was either a 30 or a 33 inch machine. The blade was in there so crooked that he said the guy cut 2 inches off the end of the blade, off both ends, to get it in there so it would spin without hitting the top of the deck. He says, I don't know what's wrong with it. And I told him, I have to see that one to tell you what to do with it. I said, it sounds like the deck got bent somehow. Maybe the guy, when he got on and off the machine, he stepped on the deck, which they tell you not to do. My sister has a Craftsman rider, and she has to do that to get on it. And she busted her deck. It ripped the mounts right off the top of it. I had to take it off and get it re-welded, and we put it back on for her. But yeah, he says he ended up buying another snapper off of Craigslist just for the deck. He says, I switched them out. This deck's perfect. He says, everything runs good. He says, I guess now I just got a parts machine. So I I don't know if I'm helping you any or not, but Mike is the viewer that's having problems with his right now. If you've got a mounting bar like this that's got these screws in it, let me get up here. It's got a bolt on each side with a lock nut. If you twist them in, this is upside down, if you screw them bolts in and have them stick out above this surface, that is going to raise that side of the blade. If the other side needs raising, of course you would screw this one in. I did not know that they had two different bars. All my decks have always had these. Even my old 28-inch had them. This one, I've never seen a bar like that. So as long as it runs true, you're fine. Most all of these that I've ever seen, the screws have never been sticking up above the surface of the bar. So really, if you don't bend something or hit something and bend it, you don't really need those. To give you an idea how many more of these they sell than these, according to my book, this bar is $24.93. And it's longer, you got bolts, it's extra, you got to tap these holes. This bar is $56.18. How do you justify that? It's shorter, it's got less parts. Apparently they sell a lot more of these than they do these. Hey, I guess I'd raise the price too, what the heck. So, Mike, I don't really know what to tell you to try and straighten out your deck. If you've had it taken apart, I noticed it was pretty shiny. Must be you've repainted it. If you've had this taken apart, I guess I would check to make sure everything on the top side is lined up right when it got bolted back together. I don't know. I really can't tell unless I had that baby in front of me. That's the problem with these U-tubes. Unless you want to ship it here. So I guess that's about it for tonight. I had a couple questions. I had one viewer email me and tell me I got one complaint on your channel. I can't hear you. If I put my earbuds in and crank up my volume all the way, I can hear you. Does anyone else have problems hearing my videos? Let me know. Otherwise, I can't fix the problem. He suggested getting a clip-on mic. He says they're pretty cheap. I don't know what cheap is, but I'm trying to get by cheap. So that's why I use my little $100 tablet to film this stuff. And another one was he wanted to meet my business partner that's over by the bathroom. He doesn't say a lot. He doesn't do a lot, but he's a nice silent partner. My wife found him, and well, let me show you. I'll introduce you. Okay, here's my silent partner. His name is Dusty, and he's been around about, oh golly, I don't know, 10 years, and he's a big help. He's always got his hammer in his hand. I found this up at a craft shop in, let's see, we're in Newaygo, Michigan. And I happened to me and the wife was walking through this old junk store. They had just all kinds of junk. That's the kind of stores I like. And we walked past this guy, and I said, well, that's kind of cool. Well, this was a birthday present. She sent her dad all the way back up there to buy this thing. And he painted the beard. He made the glasses for it, I guess kind of so we'd be twins, I don't know. But this is my partner that I've had some comments on and questions about, and I thought I'd introduce you to Dusty. So the next video is going to be taking that differential out of the tractor and tearing it apart. I don't know if it's going to be all one video or not, but I got to get going on that. Boss asked me again today, he says, am I going to have my tractor back in time to do leaves this year? And well, I'm hoping. So until next time, think about shirts. Anybody got any ideas on shirts? What to put on the back? Like, oh, I've had a couple so far. Something about snappers, may they live forever or something. I don't know. Give me some ideas because I'm lost. And I guess that's it. We'll talk to you soon. Until then, work safe, have fun, and let's mow some grass.